So, hi everyone, I'm Jen Holtman. I am the founding coach of Team Spark, and I am Sharice's success partner for those of you on Sharice's team. And we'd like to welcome you to our bi-weekly team call. We have a really good topic for you guys tonight, but before we start with the topic, we just want to go over a few quick announcements just to keep everybody caught up on what's going on in the Beachbody world. So first of all, I'm pretty sure all of you are on a team cup, so definitely keep posting, keep being consistent, and showing the 3 vital behaviors so you can keep racking up those Success Club points and get some free prizes from the team cup. I've gotten some awesome things over the years, so I'm looking forward to winning some free stuff. So keep up with the good work on that. That runs for the entire month of August, so definitely keep pushing hard for that. The next thing is for both of our teams, tonight is the deadline to sign up for the challenge group starting on Monday. So please be sure that you have signed up yourself and indicated how many challengers you have for Monday's challenge group. That's the multi-program group, okay? Also, we have the refresh group starting on Monday as well, so make sure you've signed up and indicated how many people you have for that as well. And I think I see Laura on here. So there she is. You ready? She's our refresh awesome expert, so it's going to be a fantastic group. So thank you for volunteering to do that. I really appreciate it. And a big shout out to Kim and Rachel. You guys are killing it as co-captains for the size group, which is the biggest size. Sorry, haha, speech pathologist here. Biggest size group we've ever had. So it's unbelievable. It's just rapid fire posting. So way to go to keep that under control and keeping everyone motivated. Great job. Guys, remember, we have the opportunity to sign you up for the a CEO free training, okay? It's at every level of coaching, from brand new coaches who just signed up today to coaches who are going for Diamond and beyond. So it is a great little training that gets emailed to you. You complete it. It's short, it's quick, but it just keeps your mind fresh and keeps you practicing those skills that you really need to do on a regular basis. So if you are not signed up for a training right now, either if you're on my team, contact me. If you're on Sharice's team, please contact her, and we will put you in the appropriate training. The coach refresh has also been, the coach refresh that Kristen Atkins ran, that has also been loaded up. Sharice did a great job. She loaded that up. So we have it available whenever anyone needs to use it. So if you need access to those things, please let us know because we definitely have it ready to go now. And Sharice and I are definitely available for Zoom calls. So I want to know who's going to be the next one to sign up for a Zoom call. It's a quick 15 to 20-minute call. It's all about what you want to talk about. So you tell us what you need training on, where you're struggling, and we will work with you during that dedicated time just for you. So if you need to sign up for one of those calls, there's the Acuity Scheduler link that both myself and Sharice have. So please sign up for a call. And then the last announcement, for those who are local or those within driving distance, as I'm sure you've heard, we are having a tremendous Super Sunday here in Tarrytown, New York. The team is super excited about it. This is a really big deal. So we are trying to get over 200 people, and we are well on our way. It's amazing the amount of tickets that have been sold already, and it's only been on sale for a very short period of time. So I've run large events like this before. This is on track to sell out quickly. So if you are planning on coming, I encourage you to sign up and buy your ticket. You can bring a guest. If you have a friend who's been interested in becoming a coach and they're like, I'm not sure about this, tell them to come. They get a workout with Mark Briggs. They pay, I believe, $10 to come if they are not a coach. So it's really not a big deal. If you have not been to a Super Saturday or Super Sunday event, it's incredible. It's a motivational, inspirational experience. You're going to hear success stories. You're going to hear weight loss stories. You're going to hear coaching stories. There's training involved. And then the workout will be at the end. And remember, the first 200 people that buy tickets are entered into a raffle. So you can get a personal picture, little photo op with Mr. Mark Briggs for the first 25 people we picked out of the raffle bin. So make sure you get those tickets. If you cannot come to Tarrytown, go on the Beachbody website, and there will be a list as it gets a little closer of all of the Super Saturday and Super Sunday events available across the country. So wherever you are, there will be one. You just may have to drive a little bit to it. Like I know Charisse typically goes to one in Boston. So they're all over the country, and going to live events is a fantastic experience. You get so much out of it. So I strongly encourage you to go. Any questions about the announcements? All right. Then, without further ado, we thought we would start. Today's topic is telling your story. And, I feel like we've talked about this a little bit before, but at Summit, we went to a fantastic training on telling your story. So that's what we're going to go over today. And one of my favorite coaches to watch training videos from is Coach Caleb. And we actually saw him at Summit, which was pretty cool. So I found this video from him, and he's pretty hysterical, at least in my opinion. And I think he does a really nice job of sort of giving you a nice intro of what we're going to talk about tonight. So we're going to watch the video now. It's just like 2 minutes.
What's up, everybody? It's Coach Caleb from EpicEveryRep.com. One of our most powerful tools as Beachbody coaches is our own personal transformation story. Do you tell yours?
My story? Yeah, I do. So back in high school, there was this one really cute guy. Like all about P90X, and he really lived in a shop, and this deer ran out in front of me, and it was like, oh my god! And then I spilled the popcorn all over my grandmother. Told me, she's like, Sandra, you are going to reel your necklace. So much fun because we got slushy, and we walked all around the mall. I love Beachbody. That's my story. I just really love Beachbody.
What? Don't be that person. Let me help you out. Here's 3 tips on how to effectively share your story as a Beachbody coach. Number 1, start by talking about your trial-filled history. What were your struggles? Be brave and uncover those memories you purposely tried to forget. The messier they are, the better. The more vulnerable you feel about sharing that stuff, the more powerful your story is going to be. Number 2, talk about how Beachbody came into your life. How did you make the transition from the old you to the new you? How did that connection happen? And finally, number 3, talk about the results or the results you're about to get. How has Team Beachbody helped you overcome your struggles and become the amazing person you are? And that's it. Here's an abbreviated version of my story with that exact 3-step layout. So back in college, I was so lazy and broke that I actually had to sell my blood plasma for money to buy my groceries. And not to mention, I was a totally unhealthy sloth. I knew God made me for something so much better than that, but whatever it was, I wasn't doing it. But then I became a Beachbody coach. I finally said yes. And I'll tell you what, everything has changed since then. Fast forward a quick 1.5 years, and I'm a successful business owner. I'm as healthy as I've ever been. I'm a leader. I'm working towards a 7-figure income. I have blessings and freedoms I never imagined I'd have. And the best of all, I know I am honoring God with my time, talent, and effort. It's pretty awesome, right? Beachbody has totally changed my life. And that's my story. What's yours? Take the time to craft it. Put some thought into it. Practice it in front of your mirror, and then go out into the world and tell it like a master storyteller. Nobody will ever be able to tell your story better than you. That's all for today, folks. I hope this lesson helped you out. If it did, I'd love to hear about it. Please like, share, and maybe even leave a comment down below with your story. Leaders, if you're out there watching and you relate to the way that I teach, I want to be your sponsor coach. Shoot me a text and we'll chat. Love you guys. Peace.
So that's Mr. Caleb. So I think that kind of is a good intro to what we're going to talk about tonight. So Charisse is going to start us off, and we're going to take turns throughout the presentation just sharing information with you. Any questions so far? All right, if any time there's a chat box at the bottom, so you can pop a question in there and we'll be able to see it.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen again?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. All right. So starting off with sharing the story. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Okay. So first of all, why bother telling your story? Well, there are over 300,000 Beachbody coaches out there, and you are one of them. And so the only thing that distinguishes you from all of those Beachbody coaches. It's not the products, because we all have the same wonderful products to share, but what's different is your story and you. That's what people connect with. People always, they're not buying a product, they're buying into you as a person and you as a coach. So we always say facts tell, stories sell, right? Because people are not buying the facts, they are not buying all of the list of ingredients in Shakeology, as important as it is for you to know that. That's not what they're buying. They're buying you and your story and where you've come from and what it's done for you, and they are creating a belief in you, and that all starts from your story. So as Coach Caleb said, you want to show your vulnerability. You want to be real. You do not want to present yourself as what you think people want to see, what you believe a health and fitness coach is supposed to look like or be like. You just want to completely embrace who you are, because that is what makes you stand out. And of course, you are an expert on you. You may not be an expert on everything Beachbody, but you're an expert on you. So you want to make sure you're projecting who you are. Of course, sharing your story and who you really are also makes you relatable. People do not relate to, a perfect looking, perfect person. That is intimidating. That's not relatable. So a lot of times people worry, I still have so far to go in my health and fitness journey. I maybe don't look or feel the way I want to feel on my journey, and they let that hold them back, and they let that hold them back from being confident. But really, it's someone else is going to connect out there and be like, yeah, I feel like that too. Yeah, I'm dragging. It's hard for me to keep up with my kids. It's hard for me to get through a workout video. It's hard for me to motivate to work out. So when you share those things and you share your struggles, that gives something for people to connect with. Also, it builds your self-confidence, because when you have that thing that makes you a little bit insecure, we all have those things. When you embrace it and you just put it out there for the world to see, then it's not so scary anymore. That thing about your story that maybe has always made you a little bit ashamed, or something that you've been a little bit embarrassed about, or you had to hit rock bottom before you started taking care of your own self. That's not something to hide, that's something to share, because again, people will connect with that, and when you take ownership of that part of your story, it will build your own confidence. And of course, the more you are helping people and the more you are reaching out to people, the more you will be growing your business. So those are the main reasons to tell your story. And then, of course, what do you do with your story? Well, you're going to package it on social media in many different ways. So this is not just something you use once. This is not one Facebook post. This is like a theme for you. And your story is going to have parts. And Jen is going to get into that later about how to break down your story and share those little parts. But for now, thinking about what is your Beachbody story. So your Beachbody story is going to start with one main idea. And you're going to have probably several different stories, okay? It's not just one story. So your story starters can be financial, physical, or emotional. So to figure out what those story starters are for you in each of those categories, you can ask yourself, for emotional, have you ever, let's say, struggled with self-confidence? Have you found it maybe hard to take a compliment? Did you not love who you saw in the mirror when you looked at yourself in the mirror? Have you ever wondered, is there something else out there for me? Is there something bigger? Is there, kind of like Coach Caleb said, right? Like, he was having a really hard time, but he felt like, I'm meant to do more than this. If you ever felt like that, that is part of your emotional Beachbody story. And if you've been through something, somebody else has been through it too. So, again, don't be afraid to find that emotional connection, because that is exactly what people will latch onto, and what will make them feel safe to reach out to you and say something like, I really struggled with my confidence too. Thank you so much for sharing. That made me feel like I could, tell you what I'm going through, so you can actually help them. As far as a financial story starter, have you ever been in debt at all? Have you ever worked hard to pay off debt? Have you ever lived paycheck to paycheck? You know, this is all part of your financial story. And by the way, just because you're not at the end of your story yet, just because you're not making six figures or $1 million or not because you haven't paid off your school loans yet, whatever your financial goal is, just because you're not there yet doesn't mean you can't start to tell the story, because every section of your story is a story in and of itself. So don't feel like you need to have achieved the ultimate thing. If you are working towards this, then that's enough of a story to share, even financially. And then for a physical transformation, you know, that could be anything, and it doesn't have to be a big physical transformation. You know, if maybe it's never been about losing weight for you. Maybe it's about just feeling healthier. Maybe it's about feeling energized. Maybe it's about feeling stronger. Maybe it's about having muscle definition for the first time in your life. Maybe it's that you can keep up with your kids easily. Maybe it's that you can run a mile and not get winded. Maybe you can run up the stairs without getting winded. Any of those little things, you know, whether it's a scale victory or non-scale victory, are all part of your physical story starter ideas. So what is your Beachbody story? Well, part of what's going to help you narrow that down is it's the story, like I've touched on, that is the one that you're a little bit uncomfortable to share. You know, it's the thing that is that, you know, that for you to post or publish on a post that's about this topic, you may cringe a little because it's going to be hard to share. Now, am I saying that you should share your deepest, darkest secrets on Facebook, by the way? No. Should you be airing your dirty laundry? No. You want to find, you know, a nugget that you can share from your story. You want to focus on the emotion behind whatever happened and share that. Okay, so I just want to be clear that we're not sharing our dirty laundry, but this is more like the feeling or a little nugget about what you'd like to share and what you feel people can connect with. And these are some great bullet points here. You know, your trials, the hard things that you've been through, can become your triumphs when you own your story. Your struggle is your story. So you've had a hard time. Okay, well, that is your story. Then you have something to share. You have something to speak about. You have something that's going to reach other people. Your adversity is your advantage. So the thing that you went up against throughout your life, or the thing that you're going against now, that's the thing that you want to highlight, because you know what? You're a strong person for going up against it, right? So you want to share that, and others are going to be able to relate to that. And your mess is your message. You know, whatever is the thing that is always hard for you, whether it's nutrition has always been hard for you, whether you work out every single day but you're still pounding Diet Cokes, you know, at the office, like whatever is like your mess, you know, that you feel like you shouldn't be sharing, that's exactly the thing you should be owning up to as part of your story. So now Jen is gonna explain a little bit about how exactly to tell that story.
Okay, guys. So when you think about how to tell your story, I know a lot of us here on the call are teachers, so I'm gonna ask you to think of or moms of young kids. Think of those graphic organizers that the kids come home with in class or that you use in class. And I want you to think of a graphic organizer that has 3 parts. It has when, what, and how. It's like 3 different columns. And that is how you're going to organize your story. And like Cherie said, each different kind of Beachbody story will have those 3 parts, and even each part of your story will have those 3 parts. So think about when. When did someone first talk to you about Beachbody? When was it? How are you feeling? And then the next thing is what? What made you say, hey, this might be a good idea for me? You know, and what did you do? And then how did that make you feel? Okay? So think of when, what, and how, and be very specific. It is the meat of your story. You want to add details. You want it to make it a juicy sentence. You want it to really explain and paint a picture of how you were feeling. Like for me, my when I very first started, I was feeling awful. Like my clothes were tight. I had gained a tremendous amount of weight. I had not worked out in a long period of time because my kids' schedule had me so busy. I had no time for me. And the what that came into my life was Shanna Carlucci. She put a post up on Facebook about this T25 thing she was doing, and she sent me a message and invited me. I said, well, maybe I should try that. I could do it at home. And then how did that make me feel? It made me feel incredible. After 2 weeks, I had dropped weight. My clothes were getting looser. I was feeling like myself again. That's huge. That's real. That's what happened. And, you know, people see me now 2 years later, I look very different. But at that moment in that time, that's how I was feeling. And that's the turning point. The turning point is now I have a system that works for me. So how has your life changed, or is it changing with Beachbody? As Sheree said, this is a flowing story. Some of you have just started your journey. Some of you are in the middle. Some of you may be at your goal, and that's great. But your story changes as your journey, as you continue on in your journey. And think about, how did you, or do you want to turn it into something bigger? Okay, do you want, maybe your first goal was to pay for Christmas with cash. Well, maybe your next goal is to go on a big vacation, or maybe your next goal is to, you know, who knows, be like Kristen and retire from your job. You never know. So that leads us to breadcrumbing. And that the video from Coach Caleb is a perfect example of why we need to breadcrumb. Think of when you grab a handful of breadcrumbs from the container. It's teeny tiny little pieces that all fall down on the counter. That's how you need to tell your story. If you go on and on and on, and you have pretty much diarrhea of the mouth, people are going to just churn you off. Or, you know, those posts that start with long post warning. People don't even read those, because they see that and they're like, oh God, this is going to take a long time to read. So, oh, sorry, Kim just posted a question. Would you post your future goal if it is financial? Yes, definitely. Definitely, you know, if you want to have a big why and that's what you're working towards, absolutely. And then you just document as you get closer and closer and closer to that goal. So as Coach Caleb said, you know, don't go 16 minutes or 15 days telling your story. You want to tell little tidbits, little breadcrumbs as you go along, because you're going to get people interested and hooked, and then they're going to want to know more. What's going to happen next in the story? Just keep them interested, and then they're going to be more likely to follow the next time you post a breadcrumb of your story, because it doesn't start with a long post warning. You know, it's like, oh, here's a tidbit of her story. Okay, this is interesting. Oh, I remember this was, you know, this kind of follows up on what she was talking about last week. So that's really, really important, because people don't want to hear huge amounts of information at once. And then you want to ask yourself, what your post, you write the post on Facebook, you're about to hit publish. Before you hit publish, you ask yourself, can this inspire others? Will this make a difference? Am I being real? The best compliment I get from someone, even if they never, ever, ever buy a thing from me, is they say, oh my God, your posts are so inspiring. And that always gets me. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Like, thank you for saying that, because, you know, we put a lot of time into what we put on Facebook and into our businesses, and to see it's making a difference in someone's life. Like, I have a friend who does CrossFit. She'll never buy a program from me, and that's fine. But she constantly sends me messages just saying, like, thank you for your post. I love hearing your story. I love hearing your success. You're motivating me. I'm being real. I'm being vulnerable. It's not always easy. It's not always pretty, and that's okay. Okay. Do you want to go to the next one, Sharice?
Sure.
And this is back to you.
Yes. So the art of storytelling. Like we said before, you don't want to strive to be perfect, because perfect can be boring and robotic. And it's okay, and you absolutely should share your own success. You should not feel uncomfortable sharing your success because you worked for it. So the thing is, don't omit the struggles, which is the part that got you there. So don't just say, yay, this amazing thing happened. Share what you did to get there. Share that part of your story. And you want to get comfortable sharing your story often, but not the same story too often. Many of us have multiple stories. So you don't want to just focus on your physical story, because that's just one teeny part of Beachbody, right? Even though we're a health and fitness based business, It's not the whole entire story. So again, go back and think, like, what is the emotional part of my story? What is the financial part of my story? Make sure you're not just sharing the same thing over and over again. And if, let's just say, you do have an amazing before and after picture and you love to share that on social media, well, then share a different story along with that. Because just because it's a physical picture, something for people to focus on, talk about how you felt before and how you feel now. Don't just say, I lost 50 pounds and call it a day, because that's not, what's important for everybody at all. Less is more and simplicity is key. Like Jen said, you do not want to be having a long post alert. You want to grab people's attention, share the story quickly, and that's it. And you want to be transparent, and you want to share how you're learning from your story, because we are all works in progress. None of us better be at the absolute top of the world for where we're going to go in life, right? We all still have somewhere to go, so we're all still learning, and you want to emphasize what you are learning from your story. And then, of course, you do want to tie it back to Beachbody. You don't want to be shoving Beachbody in people's faces, but you do want to show how it connects to your story. So don't get so wrapped up in just sharing your story that you forget to tie it back to Beachbody. So as Jen said, you want to reveal it in chapters with the breadcrumbing. Let's see. Okay, not on that slide yet. And also, I have a couple more points here. When you are posting, as Jen was talking about, the questions to ask yourself, you want to make sure that you're never posting without a purpose. So do not post just to post. Ask yourself, can this post make a difference in someone's day? And that's really a question that I like to ask myself a lot. So I'm going to say that one again. Can this post make a difference in someone's day? And also, another great check-in is when you're sharing your story, ask yourself, am I the same on social media as I am in real life? You, again, want to make sure you're really being you. And wouldn't it be awful if you were kind of projecting, something that's not you? And the people who know you in the real world are saying, what is she doing on Facebook? Like, that's not who she is, that does not seem like her. It's like she's one person in person and one person on Facebook and social media. Make sure that your, stories jive with each other. And you also want to say to yourself, what will someone say when they see my post? Will they say, so what? Because if they say, so what, then it's probably not a good story to share. So now we will move on to going live with your story. And Jen's going to take it from there.
Okay. And I just I forgot to say something before. So I want to just remember to say it. So I was talking about your posts and everything. So something that they said down at Summit, which I thought was pretty funny, they said, don't be a Stepford coach. So, you've heard of the Stepford wives. They're all the same. You can't tell one from the other. They're not real. They all look alike. You might see someone's post and it looks really cool and it grabs your attention. Do not copy and paste it and call it your own, because it's not your own. You can copy it and then you can tweak it and make it yours. Don't copy and paste like that, because then, that's their story. You want to make it your story. You can have a similar thread, a similar theme, but make it your own. So now you need to go live with your story. You need to know your audience. Who are you talking to? What is your niche? You want to talk or post as if you are talking to one person. And believe your story matters, because it does. What you have done is incredible. You are going on your fitness journey. You are helping other people. That is important, and that is a really great thing to share. So be proud. Who cares if you have a couple of haters out there? They also shared, there's 10% of people who aren't really care about what you post. Focus on the 90. Focus on the people who do care. Occasionally you might get, and I have, and it kind of shocks you sometimes, from like an old friend, a negative comment or a real wise ass kind of comment on your post. And the first time it happens, and even the second and the third, it really stings, because you're like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so proud of this. And why are they doing that? You know what? You have to develop thick skin. and just put it in a box, put it away, focus on the people it is mattering to and that you are helping, because that's what is really all about. Be intentional with your story, have a purpose, and create opportunities to connect with people. By sharing your story and being vulnerable, like Cherise said before, someone else may be experiencing that same vulnerability, and seeing it on your post, that will be a great opportunity to connect. So they may, post below, like, I know exactly what you mean, or even just like it. And then you just follow up with a post, a private message. Thank you so much for liking my post. It really means a lot to me to have your support, and leave it at that. And then they might write back and say, you know what, I really connected with that because I felt that way as well. So it really opens doors for communication. And then, let's see. We can go to the next one. Okay. So what to do when you have composed your story? You have to tell it. You have to practice telling it. It may sound silly. Record yourself. Remember we were talking about posting on your pages. Live video really gets an incredible amount of attention on Facebook. Make sure videos. Share it with your accountability partner or your group. We all have team pages. That would be a great place to post it. Hey, if you would like to share it on our team call, contact Cherise or I. We would be more than happy to have a little guest speaker here. And the good thing about doing that, sharing it with your accountability partner or on a team call or on a team page, is you're going to get feedback. Cherise and I do this all the time. I'm like, Cherise, I'm going to post this. What do you think? Or she'll tell me, so what do you think about this idea? And we bounce things off each other. And by doing that, I might say, hey, I like this part, but maybe change that part. And Cherise is like, hey, you should do this instead of that. And, when you really get that outside perspective where you don't have that emotional attachment because you just wrote it, it makes it so much better. So be accepting of people's positive feedback and constructive criticism, because it's just going to make you a better coach and more efficient poster and sharing your story. You can share at an event, like something like our Super Saturday or Super Sunday. Cherise and I have both spoken at Super Saturdays for Team Perseverance, and it's a really powerful experience to be standing in front of a room of 50 to 80 people sharing your story and having people come up to you afterwards and saying how inspiring it was. Because you don't always think of it like that. It's like, oh, that's just what I did. You don't realize the impact. One of our coaches actually pulled me aside, and honestly, I felt terrible. I didn't even know her name because she's not on my team. She's not on Cherise's team. She's way down someone's time, downline. I had really only met her that one day at the Super Saturday, and she had some nice things to say to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing that what I said had an impact on someone like that. And I know what others have said has had an impact on me. So what you say matters, and sharing your story matters. So it's time to start doing it. And then when you have perfected it, or even, feel comfortable, maybe not perfecting it, when you're comfortable, you got to put it out there on social media. So you've run it by your accountability partner, your team. You're like, okay, I'm ready to go. That's when it's time to go on your Facebook page. Okay. And remember, the good times to post Facebook posts would be more in the evening time, usually between 7 and 9. And remember, breadcrumb. We want little bits of information. We don't want huge bits of information. So with that, Cherise and I have a little call to action for you. A little homework. I know school hasn't started quite yet, but you guys are going to have homework. We want you guys to craft your story. We want you to create a 1-minute video. And remember, use the format, the when, what, how format. And when you're ready to share, first you share it in our accountability group, or you could send it privately to Cherise or I. Then we'll build our way up to the accountability group. And then when you're ready, you can share it on social media. And just remember, your story matters, you matter. Because your journey, no matter what it is, no matter what your why is, it's important, and it's going to make you relatable to somebody else. And you doing that is going to help somebody else. What it's all about. So that is your homework. So I got everyone on there. Okay, want to ask anybody if they have any questions. You guys are muted, so if you have a question, just you can click on that little microphone where the red line is through it, or if you just raise your hand, Cherise can unclick you. Anyone have a question? Anything they want to share? No. All right, well then everyone smile, because I hate when people take screenshots and they don't warn you, and then you're like, making some crazy face, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they put that on Facebook. So everyone smile pretty, because we're going to take a little face. Whoops. I can figure out how to do it here. Hold on. Command-Shift-4. There we go. Now I got it. All right, here we go. Everyone smile. Oh, we are a good-looking bunch. All right. All right, awesome. No questions? Any comments, questions, things you're struggling with? We're okay? All right, let's see. Hold on. We got size videos are humility. Oh. Yes, you like my size videos, Kimberly? Yes, thank you. Thank you. Oh, just wait. Oh, and Laura, you can put your sweatshirt away. No winter. Because that only means one thing. We have to go back to school. All right, well, if nobody has questions, we're going to end the team call. I want to thank everybody for calling in. It was so nice to have such a nice large bunch tonight. So that was awesome. If you think of any questions later, you can ask either Sharice or I. And we are very excited to see your videos on the accountability group. I want to see who goes first. I didn't ask Sharice about this, but I don't think she'll be opposed. First person who posts their 1-minute video is going to get 3 bonus raffle tickets for the month of August raffle competition. Game on, ladies.
Sounds like a good plan. All right. Good night, everyone. Thanks for the time. Talk to you soon.
Good night, guys.
Bye.